Hello and welcome to the Dream Team Professor podcast. My name is Scott, and in this episode we're going to be looking at the top players to target in game week 32 on Sun Dream Team. I'm going to give you a quick team update as well to show you how my best teams are getting on, and we're going to have a little look at the fixtures as well because we have just 6 game weeks left of the season and we've got 1 game week left until we get our new allocation of transfers, and that allocation's got to last us till the end of the season as well. So we're just going to go over the fixtures and have a little look at some longish term planning as well. So we'll start with these team updates. This is my vlog team, and we've got 133 points for the game week, which was massive. One of my best game weeks, I think, this season. I was 64th for the week overall, so a pretty good score. My total points is 2,278, and this game week has taken me from 1k down to 515th. So yeah, pretty much halved my rank this game week, so pretty good. I did get down to about 600-ish at some point, but then I shot straight back up to above 1k, so need to focus on staying around this sort of level and not creeping back up again. So hopefully I can finish inside the top 500 at this point. But yeah, really good game week. So I had De Gea in goal, who got me 4 points. Had a Kanji at centre back, who got me 8 points. He got 1 clean sheet against Sheffield United. I had Trent Alexander-Arnold, who got me 9 points. I bought him in for Ake recently, and he's been brilliant. So he got, I think he's got 5 assists in his last 4 games, and got 2 assists this game week. John Stones, I've recently bought him in as well. I think that was this month. And since having him, he's been really good as well. So he got a goal against Arsenal, unfortunately. And since I've had him, he's got 2 goals and an assist as well. So he's really chipping in with those attacking returns. Bruno Fernandes in midfield. He got just the 8 points for an assist yesterday against Spurs. 15 points from De Bruyne. Again, another player getting a load of points against my team, Arsenal. De Bruyne, he got 2 goals and an assist. And then Riyad Mahrez. So I was losing patience with him in the last video. If I had transfers, I would have been looking to get him out. I always was going to keep him just for that Sheffield United game, especially as he hadn't been playing the other fixtures. But glad I kept hold of him because 28 points and a hat-trick was ridiculous. Took a penalty in that game as well with Haaland on the pitch. So just pretty much everything went right for people that had Mahrez in their team. Bukayo Saka, obviously a really, really disappointing week for Arsenal. And a pretty disappointing week for Saka, to be honest, as well. He wasn't very good against Man City. Yeah, no one was really. But in that Southampton game, that 3-3 draw, he did get a goal and an assist and 10 points. So come out of that dodgy game week for Arsenal with 10 points is pretty good. Salah got a goal. He got 8 points. Harry Kane managed a goal and an assist in 2 games where Tottenham got pretty much battered in that, and he still come away with 18 points. And then Haaland got 17 points. He got a goal and 2 assists. So, but it was just De Gea and a Kanji from my whole team that didn't get attacking returns this week. So all round a really good game week. I've got no transfers left, so there's no moves that I'm going to be making this month. Just looking at the team though, and maybe heading into May, I'm pretty happy with how this is lined up, to be honest. The only person I'd be kind of looking at to maybe move on would be Bukayo Saka, just because we'll go on to it later in the video, but Arsenal have a lack of fixtures now through to the end of the season, whereas there's some players, City players, West Ham players, and even Man United players that have quite a few more fixtures than Arsenal. So I will potentially be looking to move Saka on, but we'll go on to the potential options a little bit later. And then maybe Marcus Rashford. So he was injured. I took him out as soon as he got injured. I think I bought Kane in for him in this team, or it might have been Salah. Completed the Salah, Kane, Haaland front 3 anyway when Rashford got injured. Rashford is back, and I think he scored and got an assist last night, and he's looking pretty good. He played the full 90 minutes as well, so probably no injury concerns with him. So he might be someone that could come back to hurt me. He's going to have more fixtures than Salah and Kane this month. So I will keep an eye on Rashford and potentially maybe look to get him back in my team. Let us know in the comments below how your team got on this game week. And then I'll move on to my second best team then. So in this one, I went for the full City block. I was quite far behind, so I tried to do something a little bit different to try and climb up those rankings. It hasn't worked completely yet, but 96 points for the game week. Total points is 2,207. So Ederson in goal got me no points. Akanji 8, Diaz -1, Laporte 8, and Stones 8. Then it looks pretty familiar. So I've got De Bruyne with 15, Bruno with 8. Got Grealish in this team instead of Mahrez, so it didn't work out too well this week. But Grealish has been probably the better pick for the previous week, so he got 7 points. And then the front three is the same: Salah, Kane, and Haaland. So yeah, total points 2,207. The rank didn't really move much this week, so from 1.8 to 1.7k. I do have 2 transfers left in this team. I'm happy to stick with this backline, to be honest. As we'll find out later in the video, City have got a ridiculous amount of games compared to everyone else still, where they potentially could be in the Champions League final if they get past Real Madrid in that 2-leg tie. And they've got an FA Cup final coming up as well. So loads of games still for City. That backline's going to be fine. I may look to bring maybe another City player in, or potentially Rashford again, like I said in the previous team. But at the moment, I think I'm going to leave it one more week. I'm in no rush with this team to make any crazy changes for this game week. So I think I'll let it run and then use those extra 2 to prepare for May. Right, so game week 32, we have a few teams that double in game week 32. So ideally, you'd be looking to target those. We have Man City, Liverpool, United, West Ham, and Brighton all double in this game week. So we're going to come on to them individually and look at some players that we could be targeting from those teams. But then I've got the fixture ticker up from FFSTUFF at the moment. And looking ahead to May, you can go on to ffstuff.co.uk for that one. You can have a little look at their fixture ticker and start planning out your moves a bit better. But looking ahead to May, we're going to really want to take a long-term approach now, because we've got one game week left until we get our new transfers. And then our May transfers have to last us not only through May, but for those cup finals as well. So the FA Cup final, Europa League Conference final if you've got West Ham players, and maybe the Champions League final if Man City get through to that as well, beating Real Madrid. So if we look ahead to May, teams that have the most fixtures in May would be Manchester City with 7, and then this could be up to 9 if they get. It's 7 in May, shown on this ticker. It'll be 8 if you include the FA Cup final, and it'll be 9 if they get through to the Champions League final. So Man City clear with a potential 9 fixtures till the end of the season, or from May to the end of the season. And then you've got Chelsea, who have just the 5 fixtures. United have 5, but that'll be 6 including the FA Cup final. West Ham have 6 in May, and that'll be 7 if they get through to the Europa League Conference final. Brighton have 6 fixtures in May, and then Newcastle have 5 fixtures in May. All the other teams will have just the 4 fixtures in May, and obviously we've got single game weeks and double game weeks in 32 as well to look at. So you can see all of that on FFSTUFF. They haven't added the cup finals in yet, obviously the FA Cup final, and we don't know if there's going to be Premier League teams in those European finals yet, but it's something to consider. And I'll just show you something in the rules as well. It was the guys at Dream Team Tonic podcast that kind of brought this to my attention, really, from one of their podcast episodes. But this is in the rules. So transfer allowance. It's always important to have a little read of the rules, but the transfer allowance. So transfer periods typically begin at 7 a.m. on the first Friday of each calendar month, with the last period opening on the 5th of May 2023. And then just below that here, they've got the transfer period calendar, and you can see there, so you get your last 5 lot of transfers on the 5th of May 2023, and they've got a last due until the 10th of June 2023, which I'm assuming is one of those cup final dates. So yeah, any transfers that you get in May have got to last you till the end of the season. You're not going to get any new ones in June to use specifically on those cup finals. So just one extra thing to consider when you're making your moves. These will be your next 5 transfers will be your last 5 transfers for the season. Right, now on to the best teams to target for game week 32. And we're also going to take a longer term approach, as I said, looking towards May as well. But I can't look outside of Manchester City at the minute. They've got the most fixtures by far of any team. And it just, if they get through to that Champions League final, which I think they're going to be probably a good favourite to do now with the form that they're on, They could have potentially 9 fixtures left. So they won 3-0 against Sheffield United in that FA Cup game. And of course, they done my team Arsenal 4-1. Really, really convincing win for Manchester City. Arsenal just weren't in the game at all, got completely schooled. And you have to say that probably is the title race done, to be honest. So, yeah, City are 2 points behind with 2 games in hand, but they'd be 4 points clear if they do win those fixtures. And there's 17 games unbeaten. So, yeah, it's not looking good. But if you have City players in your dream team, then it is looking good. And one of the players that's looking really, really good at the minute, and I think he is essential till the end of the season, to be honest, and he probably has been for quite a while now, is Kevin De Bruyne. So he got 15 points this game week, 2 goals, 1 assist, and just absolutely ran the show against Arsenal. And yeah, one thing I'd kind of liked about this Arsenal team is that I kind of thought that Ødegaard looked like he could sort of be that De Bruyne player for us. And he does really do it against these like smaller teams, but you could just see the difference when we played against Manchester City that Kevin De Bruyne does grab the game by the scruff of the neck on those big occasions and deliver. And he was so good in that game. He's the highest scoring midfielder on the Dream Team at the minute, and he's averaging 5.5 points per game across the whole season. Just a ridiculous return from him. 9 goals and 26 assists for the season. So, yeah, if you haven't got him, I'd be trying to find a way to get Kevin De Bruyne in your team. He's really expensive, though, at the minute. Currently, I'm not sure if the prices have updated yet, but he's at 8.1 million. Very, very expensive, but to be honest, he's someone that I always want to have in my team on Dream Team. He delivers every single season. And then Haaland, I haven't really got to say much about Haaland. 17 points this game week. A goal, 2 assists, and a star man. Just the 1 goal, actually, is quite low for Haaland, but done it again. Just absolutely dominated Arsenal. And he's on 49 goals for the season. 8 assists as well. So I expect that you've got him in already. Mahrez, it's a tough one now because I was getting frustrated with him. I was probably close to moving him out. I was always going to keep him for that FA Cup game, but he's being rotated for the big games. But with this many fixtures coming along, like I've got the fixture ticker at the bottom here, there's every chance, even if he doesn't get chosen for the bigger game, he could be chosen for what's viewed as the lesser game, and he can still deliver. So I may still look to keep him. But Bernardo Silva is looking like he's the favourite on that right wing at the minute. And then Phil Foden is coming back as well. So Foden can play off both sides. He might take a few minutes off Grealish. He will take a few minutes off Mahrez as well. But he does deliver these big hauls every couple of games or every few games. You've got to stick with him through the no pointers. And sometimes he delivers these double figures. So it's a bit of a risk. There's a lot of rotation there. But I think I might potentially still keep him just because they've got so many fixtures. Might be a bit more difficult to justify bringing him in, but if you do have him currently, I think I would just be keeping him for a little bit longer. So they've got Fulham away in the next game, West Ham at home in the one after that, in that double game week. And they've got Leeds at home, Real Madrid away, Everton away, Real Madrid at home, Chelsea at home, Brighton away, and Brentford away. So if you look at that, I mean, they could see Real Madrid obviously as being the bigger game. So maybe Mahrez gets Leeds at home, which Leeds at home looks like a really, really good fixture. You've got Everton in between the 2 Real Madrid games, so maybe he gets that game as well. Or even Chelsea at home after Real Madrid. So even if he can get any of those games either side of the Real Madrid fixture, I still think he could get a good amount of points in that. So, yeah, Mahrez, if you have got him, I think I probably would be sticking with him at this point, as disappointed as I was with him. Then let's talk about the City defence then. So, they lined up with Kyle Walker, Laporte, Akanji, Lewis and Gomez in that Sheffield United game. Quite a bit of rotation there, but Laporte and Akanji were some regular starters really. So if you did have either of those, you would have been quite happy to get the points there. And then for that Arsenal game, I did think this would happen. Kyle Walker was brought in. probably to deal with the speed of Martinelli. So they had Walker, Stones, Diaz, and Akanji. Akanji was on that left side where Ake would usually be. And so, yeah, they did a really good job in that game, but just weren't good enough to keep out Rob Holding. What a finish from Rob Holding. More Premier League goals than Richarlison this season. He's prolific. He's prolific Holding. He might not be able to defend that well, but he's got a finish on him. So one thing to note about this defence, although Walker has now started back-to-back games, I think he was always going to play that Sheffield United game. Kind of think that he might have just got brought in for this Arsenal game to deal with their pace, and I'm not so sure that he would be sort of regular starting defender in that team. So just one thing to consider if you are looking at bringing him in, because he is a little bit cheaper than some of the other defenders for City. But there's plenty of fixtures again, and a bit like Mahrez, if he doesn't start the big game, he'll probably start the other game in between. But looking at those Real Madrid fixtures, they probably will do the same thing. I think they've got Vinicius Jr. on that left-hand side. So they could be looking to bring Walker in for that game to try and deal with his pace. So he's not a bad pick, but I just bear in mind that he probably isn't the usual starter, and they seem to specifically use him for certain games to deal with people's pace. So I'd probably choose other people before choosing Walker. And one of the people that I would choose or look to choose from Man City is John Stones at the minute. He's just been ridiculous. He's hit form at the right time. He's got a goal against Arsenal. Like I said, he's got 2 goals and an assist in his last 4 games. I think there was a goal against Arsenal, goal against Leicester, and he got the assist against Bayern. I think it was in that first Champions League leg. So, yeah, delivering in the big moments as well, Stones, going forward, and he's a class defender. So, yeah, I think he's a really good pick in this City defence. And then I'd probably say Diaz, Akanji, and Laporte in no particular order. Yeah, and like I said, Walker, I think, is a little bit specific to what sort of game's playing. I think that Diaz, Akanji, Laporte, and Stones will probably get the most minutes. And then I'll just chuck Jack Grealish in there. Fairly quiet week for him with 7 points. He got 1 assist, but he has been just getting ratings every single game and chipping in with attacking returns. It does look really, really good at the minute. And what a shithouse he was in that Arsenal game. Just smashing Arsenal players, starting on Arsenal players, grabbing Party by the neck. And if he's in trouble, the big man Haaland just comes out of nowhere, looks after him. Yeah, got his big bully behind him, but it is quite funny to see, to be fair. Right, then we'll go on to Liverpool next. But before we do, if you're enjoying the video so far, please do leave a like and subscribe to the channel to get kept up to date with the latest Sun Dream Team content. And if you're listening on Spotify as well, please do give us a follow on there. So Liverpool, they've got Spurs at home and Fulham at home in their double game week this week. 2 home fixtures, and they've been really, really good at home. They got a 3-2 win against Forest at home in the last game, so they are conceding goals. And they managed to beat West Ham, who are in quite good form at the minute. They beat them 2-1 away. So they are on a bit of a good run at the minute, Liverpool. Not keeping clean sheets, but they are looking really, really good going forward. They've got 6 games left this season, and they've got 4 for May. So they've got this double at the moment, and then they've got 4 fixtures left in May. So not the most fixtures of other teams, but there are some gems in there still. So Trent Alexander-Arnold, obviously he's not going to have the fixtures of a Man United or a Man City, but he is starting to get those attacking returns now. He's got the taste for it. He's playing in that midfield role, and he does seem a lot better there as a dream team asset. So he's got 5 assists in his last 4 games. No clean sheets in any of those, but he managed to hit ratings in all of them. So got 3 points, 7 points, 4 points, and 5 points. So that's the great thing about Trent. If they're not keeping clean sheets, he's still getting points. And when they finally do get those clean sheets, he should be able to get quite a good haul, hopefully, if he can get an attacking return as well. And the fixtures are looking good. They've got loads of home games. So they face Spurs at home, Fulham at home, and Brentford at home. 3 home games in a row. They've got an away game at Leicester. They've got a home game to Villa. And then they face Southampton on the last game of the season. That is away, and Southampton could potentially be down in that one already. So who knows how that one might go. I think Liverpool, if they are, I don't think it's looking likely at all now, but they're going to have to pretty much win every single game if they want even a chance of getting Champions League, and they're still going to be wanting to push for some sort of European football. So I think with this fixture run, they could have a good chance of getting it still. Um, so even though there aren't as many fixtures there, I do think there's a good chance there'll be a lot of points scored from Liverpool in this run. So Robertson's another player that I'm going to mention. Nowhere near as good as Trent in my eyes as a dream team asset, but he has been getting attacking returns as well. So he's a bit of a cheaper option. He's got back-to-back assists this game week. It's a differential now, I must say, but in my opinion, I don't think he looks better than having like a City defender that has the extra fixtures. There's obviously a chance that he might get attacking returns, but I probably would be going for Trent if I could afford him. Mohamed Salah, though, I think he's a perfectly good player to own, and as you've obviously seen, I've got him in my team. So he got a goal against Forest. He did blank against West Ham. If you're comparing him to Harry Kane, for example, for the rest of the running, he does have an extra game over Harry Kane, and I do think the fixtures do look a lot better for Liverpool. But as we've seen with Kane, he can obviously get points in those bigger games. But if you're comparing Kane, Salah, Rashford, for example, Salah has 2 games less than Rashford, so there's a lot to think about. Rashford's going to have more games. Kane's going to have less games. I still think there's nothing wrong with having Salah for this run. Liverpool have scored 13 goals in the last 4 games as well, so their attack is really clicking. They're playing Salah, Gakpo, Jota, it looks like, in most games. I thought there'd be a lot more rotation than there actually has been, to be honest. With the amount of options they've got like Luis Diaz. I think Firmino's injured. Diaz is definitely back. Darwin's not really been getting that many minutes. And one thing that surprised me, I put a tweet out about it, but Jota kind of wasn't wanting to tip Jota really, because I did think that he was an obvious rotation risk with all the other options they do have on that side. He's been playing off the left. But where I was worried about minutes, I just thought I'd have a little look, because he does seem to be starting a lot of games. I was surprised to see Jota has started 7 games in a row, which is pretty ridiculous, to be fair. And he looked really, really good. Didn't get a goal in that West Ham game, but it was very close. Got 2 goals against Forest. He got 2 goals against Leeds the week before that. So he is a decent differential. It's just you're going to have to lose one of those big hitters to get him in your side. And he does have less games. So it's a bit of a risk, but he is looking really good. Gakpo as well, he scored a really good goal against West Ham. He got a goal and an assist the week before against Leeds. So I'd go for Jota if you're going to choose one of the two, but both are looking good options, and that Liverpool attack are looking pretty good at the minute, and the fixtures are good too. So just something to consider. The rotation might not be as bad as it potentially looks. Then on to Man United then. So they've got a double game week this week. They face Villa at home and Brighton away. They have 8 games remaining, so they have, it said 7 on FFSTUFF, but I forgot they've got that FA Cup final. So they've got a really good run, and they've got more fixtures than most other teams. So they've got 5 games in May. But from now until the end of the season, they face Villa at home, Brighton away, West Ham away. So it does start pretty tough with those first 3 fixtures. You'd have to say Villa, Brighton, West Ham. Defensively, I'd be a little bit worried, but Man United are looking pretty good going forward, so I think there could be goals there. But Villa have got Watkins at the minute. Brighton, you might have expected them to score in the in that semi-final game, but it was a 0-0, so there could be a chance of getting a clean sheet there. And with West Ham away, West Ham are scoring goals at the minute as well. So the first 3 games don't look great for defence, but then it does get quite a bit better. So Wolves at home, Bournemouth away, Chelsea at home, and Fulham at home. So it starts off a little bit difficult for the defence. But then does get a lot better towards the end of the month. So I think there's nothing wrong with choosing Man United players still through to the end of the season. Last 2 results was that 0-0 against Brighton. And then yesterday it was a 2-2 draw against Spurs. They were 2-0 up, and they kind of did throw it away a little bit. Spurs did come back. They started the same back line for both of these matches. They had David De Gea in goal, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Shaw at centre-back, and then Dalot playing at left-back. Same for both of these fixtures. So despite there being quite a few injuries, defence still picking up points here and there. So not as bad as it first looked when they had Varane and Martinez out. Shaw was out for a little while, but he's back. He's back at playing at centre-back, so I'll come on to him in a minute. But the first two places that I'm going to look for players from Man United to target would be Rashford. So he got a goal and an assist against Spurs, 10 points. Played the full 90. He's looking sharp. I was worried that when he did come back from injury, probably wouldn't be playing every game and they might manage his minutes. But he's come back firing, to be honest, and he probably is back to full fitness, really. So I wouldn't be against bringing Rashford back in if you haven't got him already. Like I said, he's got more games than a Salah or a Kane. You're not going to take Haaland out, to be honest. So it would be really a choice between Salah and Kane, especially in my team. And it's something to think about, really, with those extra fixtures. Bruno Fernandes, he's another one. He got an assist in that game against Spurs. Got a rating against Brighton. I do think that we'll expect more points from him in this run coming up than he has got previously, just because he should be playing more attacking now that Eriksen's back, Casemiro's back as well. So I expect that we'll probably see a few more attacking returns from Bruno. And he was unlucky, he hit the crossbar as well yesterday against Spurs. So back playing more advanced in that like number 10 position. I think we're going to see a lot more points for Bruno Fernandes. Maybe this weekend and looking towards May as well. So I think Bruno's a really good pick to stick with. And then defensively, so Luke Shaw, he's been playing at centre-back with Lindelof. Obviously, well, it looks like Maguire's out as well now, but they've got Martinez and Varane out. But even though he is playing at centre-back, normally I'd prefer a winger over a centre-back. Obviously, Shaw at left-back looks like a much better option. But he did get a rating against Spurs, even though he conceded twice. He's still taking corners and set pieces as well, which just seems strange for a centre-back. But I suppose if he puts a decent corner in, it doesn't matter where he's playing. But if he's taking these set pieces and he's still getting rating points from centre-back, I still think he's a really good pick. And apart from these first three fixtures that look quite bad, which they could still go on and get clean sheets in, the rest of the fixtures do look pretty good. So I don't think there's anything wrong with choosing Man United defenders, but I do think Shaw probably is still the best option. Dalot looks all right from left back. Wan-Bissaka is obviously a good defender, but at right back, it doesn't really get many attacking returns. So obviously, if you're going to go for a block, I don't see a problem with that, to be honest, or multiple. But I think Shaw probably would still be the first player I picked in defence in a minute. Right, on to West Ham then. So they have Palace away and City away in the double game week this game week. They just had a 4-0 win against Bournemouth away from home, which was really quite convincing. They have hit form at a really good time. They were unlucky, I think, to lose that game against Liverpool. So Liverpool won 2-1 against them in the second game of this game week. But they are looking pretty good, and I would still be considering players from West Ham now because they do have extra fixtures compared to other teams. So in May, they could have 6 or 7 fixtures, depending whether or not they reach the Europa League Conference final. Compare that to another team with 4. Most of the teams have 4 fixtures. So yeah, if they're going to have 7 fixtures, it definitely would be worth looking at some of these West Ham players. Bowen, Antonio, and even Paqueta at the minute looking pretty good. But AZ Alkmaar, they're going to face them in Europa League Conference. And I just had a little look at how AZ are getting on at the minute. It looks like they're still potentially fighting for second in the Eredivisie. And they get a Champions League qualifier place if you finish second in that division. So they're still trying to fight for that. So they're going to have some tough games coming up. And their next game before the West Ham game will be Ajax, who are a third, I believe. So it's still going to be all to play for. So it's not like they're going to be rotating heavily, resting players for that West Ham game. So it could potentially be a tough game leading into that first leg. So that's one thing to consider. I do think West Ham will get through in this one. I've just got a good feeling about them in Europe. But Bowen is going to be the player that I think is the best to target at the minute. I've got my eye on Bowen potentially to replace Saka. Like I said, Saka's only going to have the 4 games in May, whereas Bowen could go on to have, 8 or 9 fixtures left for the remainder of the season, or 6 or 7 games in May compared to Saka's 4. So, yeah, I think that Bowen's probably going to be a good replacement for any Arsenal midfielders you've got potentially, especially as Arsenal's fixtures are quite difficult, but we will come on to them. And the fixtures for West Ham are looking okay. So Crystal Palace away from home and then City away from home. They're not the easiest fixtures. I mean, Palace are looking pretty good at the minute. And obviously, Man City are an absolute machine. But still 2 games. And West Ham can score goals. They can hurt teams. They've got Man United at home. And then they've got AZ Alkmaar in that first leg at home as well. So 2 home games there. They are 2 tough home games, but I would expect them to score in at least one of them, maybe both. But defensively, those first 4 fixtures, I probably wouldn't be looking at getting a West Ham defender in for, in my opinion, anyway. But it does get a bit better towards the end. So then they have Brentford away, AZ away, Leeds at home, and Leicester away from home as well. So defensively, I'd probably be looking towards the tail end of this run. But offensively, with those midfielders or even attackers, if you want to go for like an Antonio, I do think this looks like a good run of games, and they've got plenty of fixtures. So, like I said, Bowen, 5 points for the game week. It did get a goal disallowed against Liverpool as well, which was a really nice finish. That ended his streak of attacking returns. He had 6 attacking returns in a row, 5 assists and 1 goal. Would have liked some more goals there if you had him, just to get a few extra points. But he does look like a really, really good option, and he's hitting form at the moment. And then Antonio, he's just been on ridiculous form as well. Like, I thought with Ings, I thought it was probably going to be Ings was the main man, and Antonio would be brought in for the games where there's rotation. But at the moment, Antonio is nailed on as that starting striker at the minute. So he got an assist against Liverpool and a goal against Bournemouth, 10 points for the game week. And then the week before, he got 18 points with 2 goals and a Star Man Award. So yeah, he's in really, really good form. It's too punty for me. I won't be bringing Antonio into my team. I'm pretty set on having the big hitters up front with a Salah, Kane, Haaland, or a Rashford, Salah, Haaland combination. That's just the way I like to play it. But if you are chasing, maybe, just maybe, I'd still go for the big hitters. But he's up there as an option. They've got the fixtures. Paqueta is having a really good time at the minute. So 21 points this game week. He got a goal against Liverpool and a goal against Bournemouth. he's looking really, really good. 3 goals, 3 assists in 4 games. He's on really, really good form. I don't know why, I'm just a little bit wary of him. I've put him in my teams previously before. He's been quite streaky. He's never been quite as good as this run he's on at the minute. He is taking the odd penalty as well, which is kind of strange. West Ham just can't seem to settle on a penalty taker at the minute, but he is there as an option. But I'd definitely just be going for Bowen. If I was going to bring in a West Ham midfielder, it would be Bowen. And I don't think I'd be going for a double up with Bowen and Paqueta. So I'll avoid it, but he needs to be brought up because he has had a really good week, or a good couple of weeks. Then on to West Ham defenders. If you did fancy going for West Ham defence, like I said, the first 4 games look pretty tough. The first 2 game weeks. Cresswell, Agard, Zuma and Kufal have started back-to-back fixtures now as the starting backline, and they've done pretty well. So I think that probably would be the most nailed backline. I'm still not fancying their defence, to be honest with you. I don't think I'll be doing it. But if I did, I'd probably go for Zuma or Cresswell out of that bunch, just because I think they've got more chance of attacking returns. And for this season, or before I get onto that, Cresswell and Kufal, or Sofal, wherever you want to pronounce it, both assisted in that Bournemouth game. So they both got returns. But for the season, Zuma's got 2 goals. Cresswell's got 3 assists. And then Sofal's got 1 assist and Agard has got 1 goal. So Zuma and Cresswell are looking like the 2 that could get the most attacking returns. But yeah, it's up to you if you want to go that route with the West Ham defence. I'm not so keen. Right, then on to our last team that's got a double game week. And they've got quite a few fixtures still remaining. That's Brighton. A little bit disappointing of late, having a little bit of a wobble. But they're still a really, really good team. I think they're just feeling the after effects of that 120 minutes against Man United in the Cup. They've got Wolves at home and then United at home. So 2 home games look pretty good on paper. Wolves have hit a little bit of form. United obviously is going to be a tough one, but they might be out for revenge on them. So Yeah, nil-nil draw, and then on to pens where they lost against United, and then lost 3-1 against Brighton, which was against Forest, sorry, which was a bit of a shock. They've got 8 games remaining for the course of the season and 6 games in May. So again, 6 games in May versus like an Arsenal who have got 4. March, Matoma, McAllister could all still be fairly good options. Um, McAllister and March got ratings in the United game. Matoma got a -1 in that one because he got a booking. And then March got a rating in that Forest game where they didn't do too well. And then McAllister and Matoma both got blanks. So on recent form, March is looking like the best option. I'm liking Matoma. I don't know what it is. He just seems like a better pick in my opinion. Seems a bit more exciting to own, but March is right up there as well. I don't think you can go wrong with either of them if you're looking for someone for a few more extra fixtures. But I would just keep a close eye on them because they are having a little bit of a wobble. It's 1 win in 4 now for Brighton. But in that run of 4 games, they probably were, or definitely were, robbed against Spurs. So not as bad as it looks. But I'm just a little bit worried they might be a little bit fatigued. They've had a lot of games recently. They haven't got the biggest squad either. So maybe just keep an eye. But they've got a good run. So it's Wolves at home, Man United at home, and Everton at home. So it's always good to have home fixtures, 3 home fixtures in a row. Then they've got Arsenal away, Newcastle away, Southampton at home, Man City at home, and Villa away. So there are some tough games in there. Man United, Arsenal, Newcastle, Man City, and even Villa. You've got to put Villa in that mix now for being a tough fixture. They're looking really good under Emery. So bit of a mixed bag, but they still have got more fixtures than most teams. So they are ones to consider. Right, then although these teams don't have double game weeks, it's probably still worth covering them because they do have quite a few popular picks. So we'll start with my team, Arsenal. I wish I didn't have to do this slide really, but a 3-3 draw against Southampton. Again, just a really, really disappointing game. They had a run of 3 draws, Liverpool, Southampton and West Ham before that. And I think in isolation, none of them would have been particularly bad draws, but to draw all 3 of them was just, yeah, a real big kick in the teeth. But they're still scoring plenty of goals, but they're just letting in too many. So 3-3 against Southampton. Martinelli, Ødegaard and Saka got the goals. Saka and Ben White got the assists. And then against Manchester City, Rob Holding managed to get the goal. And obviously I want my team to do well over my dream team. I would have much rather Arsenal won than Man City, of course. But at the point when we'd already conceded all of those goals and the game was dead, I kind of just would have taken the City clean sheet. So for Rob Holding to go and score that goal, and then I don't know who he was doing it to, but as he ran off, he winked at someone as well. Just absolute trolling from Rob Holding there. Trossard assisted that one. Arsenal now 7 games without a clean sheet. So I think we'd been mentioning it well in advance that this run for Arsenal was poor. And without Saliba, it was going to look even worse. And yeah, that just shows it. 7 games without a clean sheet for Arsenal. But they have scored 11 goals in 4 games, which, considering they've not won any of those games, is just ridiculous. That just shows how many goals we are actually conceding. So scored 11 in 4 games and not won one of them. So the goals are still there. So Saka, Martinelli, Jesus, all very good options still, or could be good options still. But the thing that concerns me is the lack of fixtures. So just 4 fixtures in May. And then the games are looking really tough as well. So, I mean, on paper, Chelsea looks tough. Chelsea at home. It hasn't been a tough fixture this season, to be honest with you. But I still just think they could easily put it out the bag. We thought Southampton didn't look like a tough game on paper, and they turned up. So, yeah, Chelsea at home, Newcastle away. That game worries me. Newcastle away. Brighton at home as well. So 3 really tough fixtures to start off with. And then Forest away and Wolves at home towards the end. So 2 good games towards the end. But Chelsea, Newcastle, Brighton, I'm not really fancying any of those fixtures at the minute. We're decent at home, decent-ish. Chelsea, Brighton, still could be plenty of goals. But don't touch the defence. And to be honest, I do think at this point in the season now, there are better options than the Arsenal midfielders. So I would personally be moving off. If I was going to keep any of them, it would be Saka. But I'm just looking now, and the opportunity is there for like a Bowen, and with those extra fixtures, I do think Bowen's going to outscore Saka, or even like a Grealish. If you haven't got an extra Man City midfielder in there, Grealish could have a potential 11 games versus Saka's 5, or Bowen could have 9 games versus Saka's 5. So yeah, I think I'd be moving Saka on, to be fair, and probably all Arsenal players really, but not to be doom and gloom. If you've got loads of other things you need to fix, maybe keeping Saka, maybe keeping an Ødegaard isn't the end of the world. But if you haven't got many big problems to solve, I would be moving them on. The only caveat that I would make is that this team has been really good at coming back from adversity and bouncing back. I know the last few games have been pretty bad, but bear in mind most of us haven't got transfers left to burn at this point of the month. You could just wait and see how that Chelsea game goes. If Arsenal bounce back and score 4 against Chelsea, for example, and don't concede 4, you may just want to give them another chance going into May. But yeah, like I said, the fixtures are a problem. I forgot to add, obviously Chelsea are in the equation. They have 5 fixtures left, I think it is. But no, I'm lying. They're not in the equation at all. I wouldn't be picking any Chelsea players at this point. They've been absolutely dreadful. So on to Newcastle, who have been much, much better. Southampton at home is their next fixture, which looks good on paper, but wasn't so good for Arsenal. But Newcastle have just been so weird recently. So the start of the season being this really sort of pragmatic team that kept clean sheets and got the wins. They're getting the wins now, but they're scoring 6 goals, 5 goals, 4 goals, and letting in 1 goal at least every game. So they're not keeping clean sheets at all, but they've got a 6-1 win against Spurs, a 4-1 win against Everton, and they've got 6 games remaining now to the end of the season. And there's some nice fixtures there as well. So Southampton at home, Arsenal at home, Leeds away, Brighton at home, Leicester at home, and Chelsea away on the last game of the season. So they've gone from having a solid defence to pretty much all-out attack at the minute. These are just some of their point scorers from this game week. So Isak got 2 goals and 13 points. Wilson got a goal in the first game, 2 goals in the second game. So he's finished on 26 game week points. Joe Willock, he's chipping in 2 assists. Joe Linton got a goal in both games. Murphy, 2 goals in the first game and a goal in the second game. And he's just someone I wanted to put up there. Like, if you are really struggling for budget, costs 1 million. So three goals this game week, and it costs just 1 million. I wouldn't normally recommend him, but if you really are struggling to get a player you want or a combination or that big front three, Murphy at 1 million is a bit of a bargain there. Just the 3 points from Kieran Trippier, though, really gone off the boil the last few game weeks, to be fair. They're not keeping the clean sheets, and he's not getting the rating points as much as he was. It's probably pretty difficult for him to get star man in these games where they're scoring 4 goals and 6 goals. Before, when they were keeping clean sheets and not conceding many, and not scoring that many either, he was getting those rating points and star man points all of the time. But yeah, you've got no chance when Wilson's getting 26 points in the game week. And then Fabian Schär got 2 assists as well in that first game. And I think he got a goal chalked off last night as well. So if you had Fabian Schär, you'd have been gutted with that last one. But he's still getting some returns there. Spurs, it's only been Harry Kane all season, to be fair. There's a few players that we started out with early on. We thought there could be some bargains there, but it's just been Harry Kane really all season. They face Liverpool in their one fixture, and it's away from home at Anfield. So I do worry about Spurs for that game. Newcastle 6, Tottenham 1, and then to be fair, they did fight back in that 2-0 from 2-0 against United. It wasn't looking very good to start with. They've got 5 games remaining. On paper, they look okay, but they've just been so inconsistent. So I would only say Harry Kane. Liverpool away, Crystal Palace at home, Villa away, Brentford at home, and then Leeds away. So Kane could still haul in some of those games. He got the star man against United when Rashford got a goal and an assist. But Harry Kane loves getting those who scored ratings. So he got the star man for just getting his assist. He got a goal and a rating against Newcastle despite them getting hammered. And it was a really good goal as well, to be fair. So 18 points from a game week where they've drawn 2-2 and lost 6-1 is a really decent return still. 26 goals for the season and 6 assists. So again, Mr. Consistent, he is still doing it on a dream team level. The debate really is going to be for Kane, Rashford, Salah. What's your pairing that goes with Haaland, in my opinion? It's a tough debate. Obviously, I said that Rashford's got the most fixtures. Salah's got 1 fixture over Kane. I've got Kane in my team at the minute. But I think if I am going to bring Rashford in, it likely will be for Kane, potentially. But I wouldn't feel too comfortable doing it because they have got a really good run here. That is everything for this episode. So thank you very much for watching. Good luck this game week. If you've enjoyed the video, please do leave a like and subscribe to the channel to get kept up to date with all the latest Sun Dream Team content. And if you're listening on Spotify, do please give us a follow on there. Good luck, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.